Both the Five Guys initial sex scandal and the resulting conspiracy that came after it were heavily censored, even by sites you wouldn't normally expect to be censor-happy. These included, but were not limited to, 4chan, the Depression Quest forum, The Escapist, Kotaku's comment sections, N4G, NeoGAF, Reddit, games and gaming, YouTube, and comments on Vice. This raised hackles due to the anti-censorship nature of internet culture, and the fact that, to many, it seemed to indicate collusion and bias.
Biased narratives put forward on websites with headlines such as "The Anti-Feminist Internet Targets Depression Quest Game Creator Zoe Quinn," or "The Sexist Crusade to Destroy Game Developer Zoe Quinn."
There's been a lot of talk over the past few weeks of corruption in the video game media industry. Games journalists are corrupt, people say.
We've seen websites which are wholly dedicated to discussing gaming, where dissenters are banned and where conversation is closed after the groupthink is allowed.
People who critique video games are corrupt, the people say. I'd just like to announce that I feel that's ridiculous.
On Reddit, one of the larger subreddits which exist, R Gaming, had a thread with over 25,000 comments in it, thousands upon thousands of which were deleted outright by a moderator who had claimed to the user base that Zoe Quinn wasn't relevant, that the information wasn't important, that there's no conspiracy going on, and they just want to maintain order and decorum.
There's no conspiracy. We're not trying to control you. We're not trying to censor the media.
And yet, that very same person is seen on Twitter having conversations with Zoe Quinn while deletions are happening. In fact, they happen to know people in the game journalism industry. They're talking to people like Patrick Klepek about getting together and having a cup of coffee and how great it is to be a moderator on Reddit. And when people decided to try to reach out and get something done about this, they were told by other people in positions of authority to fuck off.
We don't run things, we're not pulling strings. That's crazy talk.
A game journalist who says, "I brought up this whole thing with coworkers at the site I work at, and they just dismissed the issue. When I pressed the issue, the implication quickly turned from a dismissive hand wave to a very threatening, talk about this anymore and you will be fired."
You know what else is crazy? The delicious taste of Mountain Dew and Doritos.
Another similar example is found on the subreddit RPC Gaming, in which somebody posted a conversation they had on Facebook, and the person responds to them stating, "Yep, also if you're ever interested in pursuing game development further, you really don't want to be a dick to Zoe, or any other game developer really."
Hell, you'd have to be nuts to not want to crunch into that delicious soda-y toast. Bubbles, lovely, oh boy.
Kotaku's lead snake oil salesman, Stephen Totillo, claims the controversy is a non-issue due to the fact that Nathan Grayson claims their relationship didn't start until after he had already covered her story.
On March 31st, Nathan published his only Kotaku article he's written involving Zoe Quinn. He quoted blog posts written by Zoe and others. Shortly after that, in early April, Nathan and Zoe began a romantic relationship. I have no reason to believe any further action needs to be taken.
Even if that's true, and given Kotaku's recent purge of any and all Zoe Quinn-related articles, it very well may fucking not be, does this smug hipster pustule honestly believe that excuses this conduct?
Are you people for real? Steven, did you get your master's in journalism from the fucking University of the Twilight Zone? Because this is crazy town you're living in.
And people are crying foul over the Iraq War because Dick Cheney's old flame at Halliburton received no-bid warp-time contracts. I mean, if Dick Cheney had joined Halliburton's executive board after the war, would that have made it any less fucking inappropriate?
It's now been 7 days since the Zoe Post blog first went up online. In the time since then, numerous new allegations along with pieces of evidence have come forward showing different kinds of relationships that have existed between the gaming press and different developers. These relationships have run the gamut from close friendships to sexual and or romantic relationships to even financial support. There have been allegations that have been mounting that there's favoritism shown and that there's bias in the coverage. And yet, throughout it all, the gaming press refuses to address any of it, instead insisting to call the people that are interested in finding out the truth misogynistic or sexist or nutcases and idiots. And with every single blog post that you write saying you won't negotiate with terrorists as if labeling us like that is somehow going to make us go away, you just prove that you don't know what you're up against. So let me remind you.
I've gotten reckoning at the end of borrowed time you've all been living on. Evil. I'm necessary evil.
No.